I am in Sanur at Pantai Duyung, and today I'm going to give you a bit of an update on what the situation is in regard to Pantai Duyung and the footpath situation. I haven't done a video on this for probably a couple of months now. It's a bit of a rainy day today. I've got my trusty raincoat. I just had to take it off actually because it did stop raining, but when I was on the way here, it was pouring. So bear with me with that. I am going to keep going no matter what the weather situation is like, even if it's a torrential downpour. Well, maybe not if it's too heavy. Let's check it out. Look at this. This is Pantai Duyung now. So I'm at the Kelompok Nelayan. That's the Kelompok Nelayan, the sort of the Fishermen's Association building, which is the only building along this stretch that didn't get knocked down in December last year. No, well, it's 2 years ago now, isn't it? December 2024, yeah? And this is the situation now along the footpath. So as you can see, the footpath is now double the width. This part I'm walking on right now never used to exist. And that section in there is the area that was all sort of flattened out just recently, and then they've actually put some trees in there, some palm trees, which I'm a big fan of actually. I really love palm trees. Gives that nice tropical vibe, and we don't have enough of them in Sanur. I think when I look at photos from years gone by, I can see a lot of palm trees, and it just looks like paradise. And as you chop down more and more trees, especially those coconut trees or palm trees, you lose a bit of that special feel, I think. So I think that's great that they're doing that. I don't know what else is going in here. I mean, there's a lot of sort of backfill in there. Yeah, a lot of rubble that they've placed in there. Doesn't really look ready to put grass on or even to put concrete on. But at least this section's done, you know, the footpath part of it's done. And it's pretty good. Like, it's really good. If they can put some restaurants in there, or like some little warungs or little gerobak, something sort of low key and, you know, not expensive or, you know, fancy or modern, that will be really nice. If they start putting some of those more modern places in there, I think it'll sort of wreck the vibe of this particular strip. This is actually a really nice strip. In the past, when there was those warungs along here or little restaurants along here, they were pretty low-key, open-air things. They weren't modern, but they were just very good. And if they can keep that sort of vibe going here, that'd be great. The only problem is this whole boardwalk, not boardwalk, you know, like the patio section out here is just wrecked. Yeah, you can see all the boards and stuff being lifted up, and in other areas, they've actually done that up. They're ropes now. They all used to be glass, so all the glass has been removed and they've put ropes in. Well, that's good. I mean, if you've got a little kid, it's probably not good, but that's okay, isn't it? Just look after your kid, put them on a, I don't know, harness or something like that so they don't fall off the edge. I mean, that's probably 2 meters. I know, 1.5 meters down there. Yeah, 1.5 meters. Yeah, I could jump down there. It's not 2 meters. Well, that's pretty good. You know, that was part of the problem here, was all that glass was all getting, like, half the panels were missing. Some had been stolen, it looks like. But they've gotten rid of them now, put some ropes in. Well, that's good. That's a good little solution. We're making progress down here. The other problem is there's a section over here, a little bit further up, which has the tin still around it, which is a little bit unfortunate because it is so unsightly. There's a bit of graffiti on there. You know, this is not the Bali you come to see. So hopefully they start working on that soon. Aside from that, the beach is looking pretty good down here today. Like, it's high tide, looks pretty nice. You know, the La Playa's just here, and and then, you know, you've got that big bamboo structure overhead, so even though it's raining, it's not a big deal. That rain seems to have almost completely stopped now, and I'm stuck carrying this raincoat around with me, but that's sort of, that's the way it goes, isn't it? Like, you put a raincoat on and it stops raining. If you don't do it, it's going to pour down. Always happens, especially on the motorbike. I find that what I normally do when I'm riding a motorbike is that you'll get a few sprinkles, and because you're traveling in a particular direction, you sometimes think that you might outrun the storm or whatever. And it just starts getting heavier and heavier, and then usually in the distance you can see this wall of water, and it's at that point that you pull over and put your raincoat on. But often when you do that, you get back on the bike with your raincoat on, and you drive literally like 500 meters and the water stops, and then you got to stop and get it off again. And it's one of those things that happens all the time when you're riding a motorbike here in the tropics, is that this on-off sort of weather thing creates havoc for putting raincoats on. The thing is, when you're in the tropics as well, wearing a raincoat, is that they just don't breathe. So you sweat an awful lot in them. So as soon as that rain stops, you've got to get it off. Otherwise you'll be even more wet from sweat than you would be if you just got wet from the thunderstorm. just as I said that, like literally 5 seconds later, the rain's coming down again. So I'm gonna have to put this raincoat on, I think, or wait it out. Tough one. I can see over there, it looks pretty clear over there. Yeah, the sky looks quite clear, and up there's lots of clear patches, so it looks like it's just passing, but as anyone who knows me knows, as soon as I say it's a passing shower, it's set in for the day. There's a little shortcut here. It's through Warung Pantai Indah next to the mayor. A little shortcut through an empty field, basically. It gets you through from the beach up to the main road, Jalan Danau Tumblingan. And look how rural it is. You know, it's quite beautiful in a sort of a village way, isn't it? I like it. Right in the centre of Sanur, having something like this. It hasn't been sold off to corporate interests and big business looking to make a dollar. A beautiful little slice of rural life here in Sanur. That'd be nice if they could sort of tidy it up a little bit. I mean, someone obviously owns it. Tidy it up a little bit and make it like a little park area. I reckon the owner could make a little bit of money out of it as well, but I think one of the problems is that some of these big blocks of land are actually land banks. They're not really bought for investment purposes. They're not really held by a family. They're just someone at some stage has bought it just to store an asset, and they don't really want to do anything with it. That happens a lot with these, rich people tend to buy up large blocks of land, and they don't really intend to ever do anything about it. They don't intend to develop it. That often is the case, and that's probably the case with this one as well. It's just a bit sad, that you can have a big block of land that's not used. The community could really use that land, and even though it's not ours, someone owns it. It'd be nice if they did something with it. Maybe they could just lease it to the government for 10 years for a nominal fee, and the government could perhaps just redevelop it a little bit, put a bit of grass down and a few little warongs. That'd be nice. Okay, here we go, Paradise Gym coming out of the little Warung Pantai Indah sign there. And we're straight onto the footpath. And this is the main game, isn't it really? Let's have a look. First impressions, 100% done in this area. Look at it, beautiful. It's got the manhole covers on. Oh, that's not done. There's a little trapdoor there, but you don't have to worry about that too much if you're steady on your feet. But look, the path seems to have been finished. Look at that. And I've got to say, it's very, very good. Very good. Look how flat it is. If you've got a wheelchair, or if you're in one of those mobility scooters, or you have a pram that you need to push, this is just perfect. And the good thing is, because the gutters are so low, I know that guy nearly got wiped out by that truck. The gutters are so low that if you need to get off the edge of the gutter with a wheeled, tool at all, like a wheelchair or a pram, it's not that big a drop. Like, you can get straight off the edge of it. It's not that big a deal. There has been a lot of rain recently in Sanur while I was away in Thailand, and apparently this main road did okay. I didn't see any videos of knee-deep water or anything, which was part of the fear. So the drainage must be working. They've done a really good job. Honestly, I can't believe how fast that's actually been finished, because when I was here not that long ago, the progress was just so slow. And then they put a burst of effort in out of nowhere, and then a final burst before Christmas, and then coming into 2026 and it's like this. Just makes you wonder why it couldn't have been done quicker in the first place, because that first 4 or 5 months or whatever it was, just so slow going. The hardest bit, cutting all the tiles to size and making sure that they've got around the light posts, making sure they got that done all properly. Like, that's a big job, that is, and they've done that pretty quickly. So I don't know. To be honest, most days when you walked up and down here when it was underway, there were very few workers. You might have seen 10 if you're lucky, doing the whole 3 kilometre stretch. Yeah, that was probably the problem. Just didn't have enough workers. Yeah, you got all this stuff going on. See that? I believe, from what I understand, that's some sort of project to put a lot of these wires below ground. It's a separate project to the one that this is, but I don't know how it's going to work. It's sort of like a pilot project that's taking place in Sanur that they're going to roll out to other places, trying to bury some of these wires. But that's a big job. When you've got so many wires like that all tangled, how would you get how would you run wiring across the road? Do you have to dig a hole under the road, or dig up this brand new asphalt that they've put down, which is really good. In order to preserve the flow of traffic along this road, in Indonesian we might say to make sure that the flow is lancar, is fluid, is smooth, is fluent. In order to do that, because you can also say the language that you have is lancar as well, that's fluent. But anyway, getting back to the story, the reason that I mentioned that is because along this road they've implemented a no parking area, which to be honest was there anyway, but they're really being quite rajin, disciplined in trying to make sure it's enforced. And the people that normally would do that in all of Indonesia are what is called Satpol PP. They're the public order police. They're a police force, but they look after public order issues. They sometimes even go after religious things, or they'll do a bust on like a, gay nightclub or something like that, which they're probably not supposed to do, but they do it anyway. They do a few different things like that, but they also do things like traffic violations, and they usually work in concert with a mob called Dishub, and they're basically the transport mob in each local government area. So in Denpasar we'll have our own version of that. But here what I've noticed, and I don't know how it's exactly working and how the sort of breakdown of duties works, is that I've noticed that the Desa Adat is actually doing the policing of it. And I noticed them this morning, there's a group of them going around on motorbikes telling people to move off the footpath. Because people are starting to park right on top of this. It's a beautiful place to park your motorbike or your car. And I noticed that what they call them is Jagabaya. They're the people attached to the Desa Adat who look after more tourism-related things rather than religious things. So you do have a person or people inside the Desa Adat who are responsible for religious compliance, and they're usually called the Pecalang. But this is not the Pecalang that's doing this. This is the Jagabaya, and they're going around and telling people to get off the footpath because they're blocking it. Now I have noticed there's a few signs like these ones creeping onto the path as well, which in some areas does block the flow, but it's not a big deal. It's when you've got vehicles on the path that it's really a problem, and they're just keeping on top of it. I don't know how long they can keep up with it for though, because you're going to need to do that all the time, like constantly patrolling, because in Indonesia what happens is that people aren't, it's not like Germany where people generally stick to the rules and do the right thing. In Indonesia there's a tendency to break rules. It's just a cultural thing, and in order to get people to follow the rules you need to be enforcing them. That's basically it, and that means you've got to do it all the time, like 24/7. It's going to need to be patrols up and down here. So that's a good case in point. A couple of motorbikes there parked on the side of the road. Like, they're not really causing any problems, but if you're going to have a rule, you sort of got to enforce it, don't you? So they'll get moved on eventually if the Jagabaya comes past. There's also things like this going on as well. So that van's parked right on the footpath. Now, he's sort of got to, because he's unloading material, building material. What other choice does he have? It's difficult, I don't know. Things are just a little bit different here, where you think, well, that's not too bad. But then you give sort of an inch and people take a mile, and there's another bike parked up here on the footpath, but he's a delivery driver, so you sort of go, well, how is he going to deliver unless he can park there? That sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out, because my experience in Bandung, when they did a huge repaving project similar to this, but it was in more of a suburban area on a really main busy road, that always used to get traffic jams. And before the footpath was put in, it was actually dirt on the side, so you had one lane either way for vehicles and then dirt on the side. And what used to happen is motorbikes and public minivans used to use that dirt to skirt up the inside of the traffic, and I was one of those too. Mud and dirt and rocks and shit. But when they put the gutter in and the footpath, well, it meant that you can't skirt up the inside anymore. So the traffic got worse, motorbikes were stuck, and what happened was motorbikes started using the footpath as another lane. Cars started to park on the footpath because they used to park in the dirt. And what happened was that the footpath got all destroyed, like really so quickly. So quickly. I remember the mayor of the city, who was quite new at the time, was going around stopping personally and telling people to get off the footpath, and it didn't really do anything. It just destroyed the footpath. And you know, I'm going past a car right now and a couple of motorbikes where the guy's just parked on the footpath. He's just having a rest, but it's just not acceptable, is it? It's going to destroy that. So yeah, I know that this is a big challenge in Indonesia to get people to do the right thing, but you know, at some point you've got to say, hey, we need a revolution in terms of the way we think about how we do things. You know, if we're going to be a community, we really need to look after our infrastructure. Let's not destroy it. Another thing that happens around Indonesia that's quite common is people steal things that are public infrastructure that are made of metal so they can resell it, especially if it's got anything like copper in it. Those things get like taken real quick. So anything along the railway line, so if there's wiring along the railway lines, it'll get ripped up. And if there's a chair that's bolted to the footpath and it's made of metal, someone will unbolt it and take it and sell it for scrap. Yeah, all sorts of stuff like that goes on in Indonesia. I don't see it as much in Bali, but that doesn't mean to say it doesn't happen. Okay, so I've just turned off Jalan Danau Tumbling on that main road there. We can see the footpath is done. It's just beautiful. I'm going down Jalan Bumi Ayu, and the reason I'm coming down here is because this had severe flooding once again. It's been flooding like this for 20 years, people reckon. But with the recent heavy rains we had, they had a really big flood down here. And I want to see if there's any sort of remnants of that around. It's probably subsided and, you know, there's probably no big deal, but I want to check it out anyway. So I'm going to check it out. Okay, well, that looks interesting, doesn't it? That's all been dug up at some point. Oh no, this is all part of a new project going on down here. Okay, so last time I came down here, all of these drains were basically full. And it looks like now they've probably dug them out, redone them and put concrete blocks on top of them, which is fantastic. And I can see huge works going on down here. Well, that's really interesting. I didn't know about that at all. So new for me. Some of you out there probably knew about it, but this is good because this road is just terrible flooding. And it's not really that big a problem to solve. If you've got a natural dip in the land, normally you have a lake or a creek. But here, we have a lake. And when buildings started being built here originally, it wouldn't have been a lake, it would have been a creek. So someone's blocked off something somewhere and the drains are blocked off or whatever, and it's just not good anymore. But they are doing a bit of galian tanah, so digging the earth, yeah? That's good. That's real good. So it says alat berat here. There you go. Ini supaya nggak banjir lagi. Ya, bagus. There you go. Supaya nggak banjir lagi. To be honest, this is what I love to see. I love money being put into infrastructure to fix problems and make things better for the people. That's what I really love. And Indonesia's had a lack of that over the years, to be honest. It's been quite terrible, the infrastructure investment in Indonesia. And I think what I'm seeing a lot more in Bali now is a lot more investment into these things. I mean, you've got no choice. The number of tourists coming here now is just incredible. The people themselves are much more wealthy. The tax base is much, much broader than it ever used to be. And so there is more money to do these sorts of projects, and I'm all for it. Now that I've been walking for about, I don't know, quite a while now, nearly an hour actually, it's starting to get bright again. It's not quite blue sky, but it stopped raining, that's for sure, and I don't need this raincoat. I think taking the raincoat was a bit of a silly idea. In hindsight, at the time, you had to have it. I'm actually going to go and meet up with Wayne Fiasco de Gama, have a bit of a chat to him and maybe have a couple of beers or a bit of food. I'm not sure really. Look at that, brand new villa for rent. Looks like it's going to be a good one. It's so brand new that it's not even complete yet. Okay, so I'm going to try this place out. It's called Warung Kutus, and if you've watched some of my previous videos, you'll know I've been meaning to try this out for quite a while now. So I'm going to just have a bit of a simple warung meal here and maybe have a drink or two. And I'm meeting up with this guy, Wayne Fiasco de Gama. How are you going, mate?
Diaries? This is becoming a bit of a habit, isn't it?
Sure is. A pretty good habit too. I'm just going to have a bite to eat. And I might just wrap it up there. And if I really love this place, I'll tell you in another video how much I really love it. I'm not going to do a review today. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time, and sampai jumpa.